We are living in a digital world, and today's video I'm going to discuss and deep dive into a topic which is close to my heart, which is a mega trend in making. And this sector is directly linked with digitalization. So, digitalization is 0 and 1, and the circuits getting closed and open, and which is literally running our lives. If you see this, computers, TV, a lot of defense system, aircraft system, everything is actually driven by digital circuits, and the heart of that digital circuit is semiconductor. And in today's video I'm going to deep dive into semiconductor sector, how India is leaping forward in this sector, what are the companies that can benefit, and how as an investor you can actually track this big mega trend that is just getting started, and it can only accelerate from here. So if you see the journey of AI and lot of things which we are seeing, lot of data center related things, the chat GPTs of the world, all these things are directly going to get impacted by the demand of semiconductors. So as an investor, it is very important to understand this sector and having a deep dive understanding of which companies are working on this sector. So let's go in, let's deep dive into this entire segment of semiconductor sector, and we'll do the analysis on this. Let's go deeper. All right, so first let's understand what is semiconductor. To simply understand semiconductor, imagine you have metals like copper, which is a conductor of electricity. So in digital world, everything is driven by electricity, and in fact people are saying that, hey, with the growth of AI and lot of demand of data centers, the demand for electricity and power is going to go multifold, because that is the engine which is driving everything. Now imagine there is a power circuit that is happening, that is like more like a conductor of the electricity, and then you have material like rubber or something like a plastic which is blocking that electricity. Now imagine uh, semiconductor is like a switch. If it is zero, which means there is no electricity to be passed on, it will like block the flow of the electricity. If it is like pass it on, it will like put up the signal and the electricity will flow. So it is like every small signal which we do, like when we tap on our mobile phone, when we switch it on, when we want to talk, every small action is basically governed by these semiconductors, who further tells and gives the signal in terms of electricity. So if you want to put it into the picture, this is how it looks like. It's an analogy of a tap water. So imagine semiconductor is like a water tap, and water is like a flowing electricity. So whenever you want to close the tap, you just close it, and whenever you want to flow the electricity, you open the tap. That is the key role of semiconductor. Now the thing is, these semiconductors are extremely difficult to build, and there is a lot of complex process that goes into it, which makes it very valuable for the entire world. So let's go deeper and let's try to understand this big mega trend which is just happening in front of it, and how India as a semiconductor superhouse is trying to take its next big leap, because we are the biggest, one of the biggest consumer of semiconductor, and in future it's going to be even more larger. So before we jump in, I'll just quickly share the disclaimer, and I also tell you that a lot of the examples of stocks which we are going to discuss are only for illustration, not recommendatory, and please consult your financial advisor. Investment in security markets are subject to market risk. Read all scheme related documents carefully. We are SEBI registered investment advisors, and please make sure you go through all the documents carefully. Now let's understand the manufacturing process. So when it comes to semiconductor, there are three important processes. The first very important process is designing. Like you need to design a right chip and right slot. Okay, so this is what is a chip, which is, it looks like this. So first you have to make sure that you design it, and then you fabricate it properly. This is the assembly line, and this is where the assembly and the packaging and the fabrication is also very, very important. So first you have to make sure that you design a right kind of semiconductor chip, which is more like a blueprint of all the functionalities and the characteristics that chip will have. And then next we need to go to the fabrication, which is more like, where it will actually get manufactured. Once it get manufactured, you have to, test its quality, because what if that tap doesn't work? Our TV and computers and mobile phones will stop working. So you need to make sure that that tap is proper, and then you have to assemble with a lot of other circuits which are there, and you have to ship it properly so that it reaches without any kind of malfunctioning. Because although these chips are very, very tiny, they are one of the most critical components in all the electronic space, right? So if you think about essential component of a chip, which is actually containing that small semiconductor piece, this is what it has to do with it. So first you need a raw materials. What are the raw material that goes inside it? You have small silicon wafers. So sand, if you know, the sand gets melted, and very fine quality of that silicon material is actually put as a wafer. It's like a small layer which is built, and on the top of it there are specialized chemicals. There are a lot of gases which are poured so that it becomes semiconductor. If you think about silicon, you might be wondering, hey, Vivek, silicon is not a good conductor of electricity, right? If you put a silicon brick, it will not pass electricity to it. So to make sure that silicon, which is a non-conductor of electricity, to make it like a semiconductor, there are a lot of processing, oxygenization, and there are a lot of chemical processes, and then some gas getting poured. A lot of those things also happen. Then there is a manufacturing process. So once the silicon are ready and the design is ready, you make sure that you cut it in a very small, fine, thin plates. You have to make it like very, very conducive. There is a extremely clean environment which is required. Otherwise, there will be dust that comes in, and the conduction of electricity will not be proper. So you need to make sure that the fabrication happens properly, and then there is a entire automated plant like this, where the entire assembly and in a very controlled manner the chip insertion happen in a very powerful way. And this eventually is used in a lot of these EMS, like electronic manufacturing facilities, and ultimately that gets used in multiple industries as well, right? So why semiconductor is very, very important in today's time and age? The first very important thing is all our critical things, be it defense, be it transportation, be it healthcare, be it industrial automation, be it our EV cars, everything is dependent on semiconductor. So if you think about it, if you are not indigenously producing semiconductor in our country, and if we are depending on other countries, it could pose a big, big risk in overall growth of our country, right? And there are a lot of these data centers that are opening up even in India. I have covered a detailed video. If you want to also connect the dots, like data center is one of the powerful theme connected to AI. So if you want to learn about it, I've done a video called data center theme. So you can just quickly search Vivek Mashrani data center, and you will be able to find that video as well. And I've also covered some of the other mega trends that is happening around AI and technology, how that are shaping the world. You can just check out my YouTube channel and you will find a lot of such material. Now, with the advent of AI, with the advent of lot of these data centers, the security of our country becomes very important. And just like if you remember in 2022, I did a video on railway sector and defense sector. By the way, if you are not watched that, you can search with Vivek Mashrani, railways and defense. This was one of the defense video which I did. Then another video which I did was railways in back in 2022. And a lot of these sectors, because the government focus shifted there and there was a big mega trend, many of the stocks multiplied 2x, 5x, 10x also. So the idea is, if you are able to pick up these mega trends at a very early phase, you can actually make a lot of money in that journey. So the idea is to catch mega trends, study it, and then focus what is happening here. And that is what exactly we are trying to do here. that, hey, what is going on in this sector and why this is so important. Now, the problem is 60% of world's overall semiconductor is produced alone in Taiwan, which is a very tiny country, and that is the reason China is like aggressively trying to capture Taiwan, and it does a lot of gimmicks from time to time. And US, which is one of the forefront in the technology space, in the AI space, it is backing Taiwan very strongly, because if China is able to capture Taiwan, it can significantly pose a big risk for US's technology dream. And that is why it is very, very strategic country when it comes to chip manufacturing. And 90% of the advanced chip which are required in some of the sophisticated equipments are actually dominated by Taiwan, because you need a very cutting edge technology which is expensive, you need economies of scale, you need some crazy investment to do that. A lot of things should align to make that happen. And that is why Taiwan is like almost a monopoly when it comes to advanced chip manufacturing. Now, other countries who are focusing on this now aggressively, because they have also understood that it is very strategic and geopolitically important industry. So players like US, South Korea, Japan, and China have started actually getting into the supply chain of this, and they are shifting the global landscape. Now, why it is so important for India to get into this industry, right? If you think about our country, we are one of the biggest consumer of computers, mobile phones, with the heavy population which we have. And if we are not producing this in-house, it can significantly pose a risk in terms of our foreign exchanges, as well as any kind of dependency with other country. If there is any war or strategic issues, there could be a big problem. And this industry is growing like crazy. It was like $38 billion in 2023. It almost grew by 20 to 30% in 2025, which is around $50 billion. And what is it estimated is next 5 years it can be even almost 1 trillion, kind of size of opportunity which will be there. And that is the reason government is like super serious, because there could be a supply side risk. We don't want any other country to block the supply, and we also want to give policy support to at least the initial part of supply chain, right? And that is where government has focused deeper. Now, if you want to download this presentation, you can either go to the link below this video, which is in description or comment section, or you can straight away go to this link, which is technofunda.co/semiconductor, and you can download this presentation for your future reference. I've discussed a lot of stocks idea or companies which are actually working on this, or you can just simply scan the QR code to get more details around this. So I'll move forward. I've just posted the link on the top. All of you can just go to the link and you can actually download this presentation. Okay. Now, when it comes to India, there are three main pillars why we are strategically thinking on the semiconductor industry space. The first is we have a lot of raw materials which are required for making silicon chips. We also have a lot of advanced knowledge of chemistry, and a lot of companies in chemical side of the things, they are expert into this. And some of these raw materials we are able to produce in-house also. Second is we have got a lot of expertise in R&D, and we have good talent in AI, big data, and so on and so forth. And we are having a very strong MSME base, which is core to producing a lot of these semiconductor equipment. So if you see, the ecosystem is kind of ready to get started, and that is why government has started with a big investment of uh, 1.6 lakh crore. That is the recent announcement that has got, and that is literally started attention of a lot of companies to go into this direction. So we have already approved 10 mega projects across 6 states, and we have got 1.6 lakh crore kind of total investment which has been committed over a long period to invest as a part of India's semiconductor mission. It's called ISM. And because of that, if you see, There are a lot of companies who have entered this space. So companies like Micron Technology in Gujarat. Then in Dholera, we have Tata, who has put up a big plant in 2024 with a big investment of 91,000 crore. And they are able to produce like 50,000 wafers, silicon wafers a month. It's ongoing already. Then there is a company called CG Power, which has done a collaboration with Renesas, and they are producing like 15 million chips, which has also started in Sanand. And then you have Tata TSAT, which is about to start in phase 1, and Keynes Industry also, they have started their pilot with a huge investment of 3,300 crores. And then there are a lot of companies who have started talking about going into this space. So if you see Pidilite in their con call of 3Q FY25, they started focusing on EV and semiconductor. Then Thermex is working on ultra pure water for semiconductor sector. Then on the chemical side we have Gujarat Fluorochem, Jyoti CNC. These are all proxy plays. But if you see the commentary, and I'll share this presentation with all of you so that you can actually go through the commentary, the direction in which they are seeing is they are seeing a lot of opportunities, and they are trying to capture the value chain based on the expertise they have in their own industry, and which is going as an input, as a supply chain material to the semiconductor industry. And if you see some of the major happenings that has happened is CG Power, they have put a big plant, and they are actually expected to contribute 10 to 15% of total revenue of CG Power in next 3 to 4 years. Keynes has made a very big investment, and a lot of other EMS players, design players, MNC players are actually getting into it. So I'll straight away go into some of the companies, and let's see what is the kind of moves that are happening. So once this ISM policy got announced, we have seen a big spike in some of these semiconductor related sectors. So if you see, after the GST cuts and after the announcement after 15th August in the Independence Day, you saw some big moves in CG Power. This was almost like up 20% one-way move. A company called as Moschip, which is supposedly one of the companies that can be a beneficiary. If you see a price action over here, there was a huge price action. It almost like went 60% up in no time with a very strong volumes. Then there is a company called as SPL Semiconductor. There was a strong breakout in the first week of September, and huge price action with a lot of volume that happened here. Then there is a company called as Keynes, which I discussed. There was a sharp up move like after June, July, and you can see like this company has also moved like almost 20% and some very strong signs. Sirma also is in the sector. You saw some good price volume action here. There's a company called Avalon, which is also a kind of small proxy play. And of course, we have EMS players like Dixon who can also benefit from this. So overall, if you see, there was a big price volume action that has started, and I saw a similar price volume action when I started tracking some of these sectors like green energy in 2022-23, a lot of sectors like railways, defense. So what typically happens is when these kind of sector kind of picks up, there is a strong price action that starts initially on these sectors. And if there is really there is some follow-up move like how we saw on green energy, a lot of stocks become multi-bagger. Then we also saw a big sector growth in EMS space. A lot of companies in EMS space got benefited. Even data center related stocks started moving in. So the idea is very simple. If follow-up action happens and there is a lot of fundamental shift that starts happening, the re-rating in these sectors happen very significantly, because the overall addressable market is huge in these kind of industry. So with the advent of AI and what we are seeing, even with the advent of data centers, I've covered that in the video also, we need a strong data engine. Lot of the silicon chips and all these material of semiconductor are going to get used in the data center also. So that gives us a very big opportunity. So let's learn about the risk before going next. And by the way, those who are not following me, I am Vivek Mashrani. I blend technical analysis with fundamentals. That is what I showed you. I went through the detailed sector analysis. Then we went under what each of these companies are doing and how they are strategically, poising themselves to grow. And then we went into the charts also, like how they are actually uh, making that shift in that entire sector, right? So step by step, when we learn investing like this, it actually makes a big difference in our journey. And one such sector, if we are able to pick it early on, and if we pick up right players into this, we can actually go much deeper into this. So just to summarize, yes, this sector poses a lot of opportunities. In fact, recently we have seen some big moves by the government. So companies like SPL and Solex and Dixon and Mike and a lot of these which I've shared can benefit. And what they are doing is they are working on IPs. Some of them are working on designing. Some of them are working into automation of a lot of these things. Some of them are working into pure water generation. Some of them are actually working on the contract side of it and packaging and assembly and testing side of things. Some of the players are actually working on providing right kind of power and technology to it. Some of the players are actually doing JVs with external players like CG Power example what I gave. Some are working on end-to-end IoT solutions and how all of these can get integrated properly. Some of them are working on the capex of building fabrications and the chips and wafers and all of those things. And some companies are really working on integration of this entire supply chain. So the industry is very nascent in India if you want to think about it. But at the same time, we are seeing a lot of traction over here. We are seeing a lot of momentum in this sector. And of course, there is a lot of intense competition globally. It's not a very easy industry to crack, but as a country, we have to try somewhere, right? Think about it. Like in defense, we started in 2022 aggressively, and now a lot of defense equipments we are able to manufacture in house. We are in fact exporting to many countries, and that has reduced our reliance, right? So same way, we have to start somewhere. Whether we'll succeed as a country or not, we don't know. Whether we will be able to capture significant market share or not, time will tell us. But at least we are working to start building supply chains, and we are starting to have some kind of infrastructure around this industry. So the point is, as an investor, we cannot ignore this opportunity. There are a lot of short-term opportunities where immediately, as soon as these setups are happening, they will see immediate growth. Some of the components will see a medium-term growth where once the localization starts, we will see a lot of the things moving on. And ultimately, long term, we will see companies which are into power electronics and IoT, they will also benefit. So net, this is a very powerful industry to keep an eye on. We have our research services where we give a lot of research reports and a lot of insights. And if you want to formally learn about investing, I also conduct a masterclass, which is a free masterclass, which is more of a financial literacy program. So you can go to this link, technofunda.co/webinar, and you can join that masterclass. You can learn about how to build a right investment process, how to build an investing system for yourself, and you can then start building your SIP portfolio. I've also done a powerful video called How to Do SIP. You can go through it. And also on chemical sector, I have a detailed video which I have done. Right. So in short, this is a sector to keep an eye on, to make sure that you analyze right plays inside it and study this entire supply chain. And sometimes the opportunities can become much bigger as the sector picks up. So keep an eye on this and let me know which stock you are tracking from this sector. And if any other sector you want me to analyze, just type in the comment section. I'll review your comments and I'll reply to you if that is feasible to conduct that particular sector analysis. Thank you so much again. Looking forward to see you soon again in the next video. Till then, Jai Hind, take care and keep compounding. Bye-bye.